how do we scale them so that the success rates that they've shown, for example, 70% decrease in Richmond, how do you think that we can scale things like that?
Well, mentorship starts, it can be done on so many different levels. I mean, it could be something as simple as us finding our local public schools in our neighborhoods and taking the young boy or young girl out of there one day out the week, spending time with them and checking in on a consistent basis. It could be something as minute as that, as small as that, but still making a difference in someone's life to what they're doing in Richmond, California. You know, there's something else I want to speak to is a lot of the kids now today that are at risk, they need more than just mentorship. They come with a lot of issues, whether it be mental health, abuse, sexual, physical, lack of family structure. So there needs, when we say mentorship and these programs, especially what they're doing in Richmond and even in Toledo, they're creating these communal situations where people can feel like they belong to some sort of a healthy family, because we have to rebuild the family structure by any means necessary. And then two, it's the programming. That was one of the main things I learned about how important programming is from Dominic when I went to visit him inside Green Haven. There needs to be programming on situations. Once kids do get into a situation that they need to be looked after, while they're in care, the programs that we lay in front of them will make all the difference. You know, cognitive skills, these are things that most adolescents, especially at-risk adolescents, don't have the concept of how to discern right from wrong or this proper decision making. And these programs help to build those skills and qualities while they're paying their debt to society.
Speaking of Toledo, you know, with a lot of these kids, but especially in Toledo, you did sort of a lot of off-camera counseling and talking to these kids. Maybe tell us a little bit of, you know, some of the discussions you had, you know, and counseling that you gave.
Well, in Toledo, with the young brother, Tyron, his mother, when she got up and left out of the courtroom, me personally, I felt like I was left with a decision. I was split in two. I knew what it was like to want to run and self-medicate and get high, which is what I thought the mom was going to do the way she left that courtroom. And I also know what it feels like to be that at-risk youth who he and his mother were at odds. I know what both of those situations feel like. And I said, Mike, you need to do something here. So the first thing I did was I ran after the mom. I said, do not let her leave the building. And I held her downstairs in the lobby of that courtroom, and she blew up, and she let it out on me, man. And I just held her and said, I understand. I know what it feels like. And I shared my story with her. And the counselors came and they got her and they took her to a room and, you know, help her get herself together. And then I went back to the courtroom and I got the young man after Judge Cubbin was done with him. I took him and I took him to a private room and I sat him down and I said, I don't know you from a can of paint and you don't know me, but there are some things that are just facts. We're meeting in this courtroom because you screwed up. And two, you need to adhere to a certain amount of rules and regulations and to get yourself out of the situation. You can't go under it, around it, over it. You have to go through this by following the rules to get to the next side or to get to the next level of your life. And then I used the analyzation of what it means to be an addict. You know, they say when we start using narcotics to a level to self-medicate, we stop developing. We arrest our development, our emotional and mental development. And when you put the narcotic down, that's when you begin to grow again. So the mother was only 4 years sober. And I sat him down. I said, do you know how hard it is for someone to get sober in the same streets that they got high in, at the same time making up for lost time in a son's life that she loves, you know, making up for the time she was in the street rather than being a mother to you? You know how hard that is in the same community? I said, your son is 9 months old. When he learns to walk, are you gonna drag him in the street so he can keep with you, or are you gonna walk at his level? He said, I would walk at his level. I said, well, you have to use that same analogy for your mother. She's only 4 years old emotionally. I said, you have to take your time with her. You're the adult emotionally in this situation. I said, her only crutch right now that she has to walk on her training wheels is her belief in a higher power. I said, you can't kick that from under her because you'll cripple her. She can't handle that. I said, and when I gave it to him like that, I saw his light bulb go off, and then it gave him an understanding to what she must be going through and some empathy for her situation. And just share my story.
I think that, we've talked a lot about this, but, you're kind of reluctant to use the word activist, and, you've sort of shied away from that in the past. Why now? Why make this now? Why come out and why say, look, I'm gonna do something?
Shane, when I came to you and the boys' advice with this, I was just a raving lunatic. I was literally foaming at the mouth. I didn't know what the hell was going on in me. There were a few things that had happened prior to making this in my personal life. One, the night of and Black Market with Michael K. Williams on Viceland, they dropped 7 days within each other, and all of the press, I just found people constantly asking me about, the juvenile, the criminal justice system, and I would find myself in these conversations, and it was just like, damn, Mike, how do you know, how are you coming up with these? I was like, who is this guy talking most of the time? Then I got invited through a mentor of mine, Michael Skolnick. I got invited to the White House to speak with our friend Barack Obama in a room full of like 30 people, and we were discussing the criminal justice system. And there were two things happening. One, I was geeking out that I was in the White House, and two, I was freaking out because I was like, what the hell do I know about this? Why are they asking my opinion on this topic? And Michael Skolnick, he leaned over to me and he said, Michael, it's because the people who are closest to the problem are usually the one closest to the solution. And my light bulb went off, and I started to think about, Mike, okay, you've never been to prison, granted, right? But you've been visiting your loved ones, family members, and close friends, people who are still in my life today. I've been visiting, making visits to the penal system since I was 17 years old, starting at Rikers Island. And I got this bird's eye view of the traps that are laid, the bad choices that people make, the age range where they make them, when they go into the system, and more importantly, the condition they are in mentally and emotionally when they come out of prison. And I came with all of these emotions just got started stirring up in me, and that's all I had. I had the stories of my friends and families, and I was really in a lot of pain because I was hurting for I said, why is all this happening to my friends and my family? Like, what is it? And it was Tim Clancy and Matt Horowitz and Dave Levin and Kyle. We got in that room, and they started to string together the similarities in my people's story, and that was what this doc was born out of, But you talk about the activists, the word, the A word. There are way too many people that I stand here on the shoulders of that gave their lives up, so that I can be here. That's what I call activists, and so I'm nowhere near on that level. I'm just pretty much doing what I'm supposed to do as a human being, as a man from my community, as a black man in America. I don't deserve any accolades, no word, no special titles. I'm just merely doing what I'm supposed to do as an adult, coming from the community that I come from. But I look at the programs like in Richmond, California, what those brothers are doing out there, and I look at what Judge Cubbin is doing in Toledo, and it didn't scare me. They're not asking for any handouts. They're not asking for, highfalutin politicians or Hollywood's elite to come and join their plight They're not even asking for any extra money. Judge Cubbin just took the finances that was already in her community, in her budget, and started